Hey, JK here. I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me. For day 30, the last day of this series, we're going to be talking about the Baltimore Orioles, who had a 101-61 record, good enough for first in the AL East, and a positive 129 run differential. The guys who led the categories were a mix of the old guys and some new blood. Anthony Santander led the team in at-bats, doubles, was tied in home runs, RBIs, and total bases, while Gunnar Henderson led the team in runs, triples, tied for home runs, strikeouts, slugging percentage, and on-base plus slugging. Adley Rutschman led the team in batting average, on-base percentage, walks, and hits, while Jorge Mateo led the team in stolen bases. First guy I want to talk about is Austin Hayes. He just finished his third decent season, hitting at least 250, having 16 home runs, 60 RBIs, and having at least 120 hits. He's not sexy. He's not going to pace your team, but he's available and probably going to be hitting in the bottom half of that lineup, so might not be as productive. Someone else I want to talk about, nothing really other than to say, is Anthony Santander. Apparently he changed the way he pronounced his name to Santander. That might be a little more fun to say. Ryan Mountcastle absolutely obliterated me in the first few weeks last year. He had a 2 home run game, and also in that same game had 9 RBIs. He had a peak of a 289 batting average at that point in time. Then he did not see a batting average of 270 until August 12th. Even though he's in a good lineup, he's going to have to produce a little more because he did drop off a good bit. There are a few other guys who can play first, and there is a guy named Jackson Holliday waiting in the wings at the minor league level, ready to come up, and there could be some shifts over, and now guess who doesn't have a spot? I think he's going to be fine. He's in a good enough lineup that's going to protect him, but let's get those strikeouts down and those walks up, Mr. Mountcastle. And no more 2 home run, 9 RBI games against me. Someone else who did pretty well, Cedric Mullins. Actually, he did well in 2021. Yeah, that's when he did well. So I am pretty happy that I had him that year and then did not go after him anymore, because he was hitting like 291 that year, had 31 or 34 stolen bases. Maybe he only had 30. In any case, he had 30 plus stolen bases. He was hitting like 30 home runs. He was doing great. That was a really breakout year for him. Since then, he hasn't done that well. He did have a few more RBIs. He had 74 this past year, but he only had 19 stolen bases. With everything that went into effect to increase the number of stolen bases this year, you expected more. I also don't know if he should be hitting in the top of the lineup. Having such a low batting average, so it's like 230, 240, he's not going to get you moonshots like Kyle Schwarber. He can steal bases, but you want someone like a Trey Turner. I know he only hit like 260 this year, but you want someone like that who has the ability to get on base and steal. Now, Mullins can steal, but he's having a little bit of trouble getting on base, so he could find himself at the bottom of that lineup, kind of resetting it as you get to the 9th hitter. In any case, there are some options that can be the leadoff hitter, and hopefully it's Jackson Holliday, because I have him in a few of my leagues. In any case, Cedric Mullins, not someone I'm going to be looking at anymore, but still a decent supply of stolen bases if he can get on base. Talking about getting on base, Ramon Urias is the starting third baseman. I don't know how long it's going to last, because he was hitting like 250, 260 last year, so that's not terrible. However, they do have a few other guys, Westberg, Jackson Holliday. They have some guys who they can shift around from outfield to infield or just not play DH. Santander can play first. That moves Mountcastle out. So there's a lot of manipulation they have with this lineup. So as much as I do think Urias having at least 4 years in the majors will have a little bit of an upper hand, you can't go against someone who has so much potential. Jordan Westberg is a guy that has good potential. He hit 260 last year, popped a few home runs. He's not going to get you a ton of home runs. We'll talk about him more in a second, but he is going to be someone who might be the guy that the Orioles want moving forward. Go ahead, and speaking of these guys, Jackson Holliday is a guy that they have down in the minors. I think they're going to leave him there for a period of time so that they can maintain control over him for another year. Now, hopefully it's not too much longer, because I want to see this man hit. He did have some pretty good games here in this spring training breakout thing that the MLB started, but we want to see him in major league games. We want to see him against the best of the best. We want to see how this 20-year-old is going to fare. Now, there have been a few other really young guys to come up. I don't know, Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, some of those guys, but Jackson Holliday, different breed. I'm not saying he's in the same category as him. He's not a power hitter. He's not going to be, superstars like them. I'm just saying, like, they were young when they came up. We want to see a superstar like Jackson Holliday come up and follow in his dad's footsteps. Matt Holliday was very consistent. Yes, he was riddled with injuries at time to time, but he was a mainstay in several lineups, winning a few World Series. So Jackson Holliday, Jordan Westburg, those are two guys people are excited. I'm excited to see, unless they're playing against my Yankees. I want them to be. Pitching-wise, this was a pretty decent rotation. Wasn't as sexy as the Blue Jays, but it was pretty good. The most losses any of these guys had was 9. We'll get to that in just a second. Game started, wins, and losses, and innings pitched went to Kyle Gibson. Quality starts, strikeouts, and ERA, Kyle Bradish. Whip, Tyler Wells. Holds, Yennier Cano, and saves went to Felix Bautista. Bautista is going to be out this year, is unfortunate, but they brought in another big dog, Craig Kimbrell. So they should be pretty set at the closer position. Now we get to the rotation. It's looking pretty good, even though they lost a few arms. Corbin Burns came over from Milwaukee. He's definitely going to be the ace of this lineup. Grayson Rodriguez going to have a little longer leash this year. He did have a 4+ ERA last year, but he's going to have a few more guys to mentor him, and he has a really strong bullpen to back him up. Tyler Wells did great and then faltered a little bit, had to move into the bullpen. Hopefully he can have a little more strength, a little more experience coming forward this year, and hopefully be able to pitch the entire year, or at least until some of the guys come off the IL. Also, Dean Creamer, he ended up having more quality starts than wins. Kyle Bradish will start the season on IL. However, once he comes back, he'll probably knock Tyler Wells out of the rotation, mainly because Tyler Wells fatigued the quickest last year and had to end up in the bullpen. John Means has an all-star appearance under his belt for 2021 and will provide a boost when he comes back here in this first half. Now let's move to the bullpen. This bullpen is good. I think they're going to be able to make up for the mistakes that the rotation is going to have, and also hold on just long enough for the other guys to come back, Bradish and Means, and also hold the fort down while Bautista is recovering from Tommy John. Craig Kimbrell is going to be a great stopgap. I don't think there's any worry about him. Overall, the Orioles are going to compete, and I think they're going to win. They're going to be right neck and neck with the Blue Jays. I think both teams are going to hit at least 95 wins. I think both teams are going to have some of the best pitching, even though I wasn't really feeling the pitching last year for the Orioles. They ended up doing pretty good. This year, with some of the additions, some of the experience that they have coming back, especially with the new arms, that bullpen just as good. I feel good about this team. I'm worried about my Yankees being able to compete with these guys, and that's unfortunate. But in any case, that completes 30 teams in 30 days. That's super exciting. I want to thank you so much for joining me and watching all of the episodes. Hopefully you watched all of them. If you didn't, that's fine. Please go back and do watch. I'm looking forward to talking to you here in maybe 2 weeks about how the first week for fantasy baseball went for my teams. We are going to be returning several of the teams. There are no new teams. But in any case, 30 teams in 30 days is now over. I'm looking forward to doing it again next year with updated rosters and stats, and hopefully me telling you that the Yankees went to the World Series and won the World Series and went undefeated 162-0 in the regular season, because we all know that's going to happen. This is JK. I want to thank you for sharing part of your day and the last 30 days with me.